Thanks for staying tuned. 31 minutes past 10 o'clock this beautiful Monday morning. It's the 10th day, in the month of July. And let's get straight down to the conversation for Industry Hub this morning. Joining the team on the program this morning is an economic and financial expert and analyst, Olusesan Okunade. Good morning to you and thanks for being here.
Good morning. KSB, good morning, Philip, and good morning to all our listeners this morning. A beautiful Monday for the
Indeed. Last week, President Bola Tinubu approved the establishment of a presidential committee on fiscal policy and tax reforms, and the committee, chaired by Taiwo Oyedele, the fiscal policy partner and Africa tax leader at PricewaterhouseCoopers, that's PwC, will consist of experts from the private and public sectors. Its mandate encompasses tax law reform, fiscal policy design and coordination, harmonization of taxes and revenue administration. And so that is that. But speaking on behalf of the President, Adelabu Zak Adedeji, the Special Advisor on Revenue, emphasized the critical role of a robust fiscal policy environment and an efficient taxation system for the functioning of the government and the economy. Let's now go straight to Sheson. Sheson, let's talk about this constituted or establishment of a presidential committee on fiscal policy and tax reforms and what this means for the economy of Nigeria. The President has appointed Taiwo Oyedele, a fiscal policy partner and Africa tax leader at PricewaterhouseCoopers, the chairman. What do you think? First and foremost, I think we should begin basically, to help Nigerians understand what the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms mean. How would this benefit the economy? What should we expect from this group, from the committee?
Okay, thank you very much, KSB. First and foremost, let me congratulate my brother, my boss, my prof, one of the mentors we look forward to in the profession, Taiwo Oyedele, who I popularly call Prof, for that position being given to him as the chairman of the fiscal policy, and strategic plan for the government. I want to start with this by enlightening our audience to know that fiscal policy is something that government try to use their spending and taxation to influence the economy. And if you look at the dingling challenges that we have with our revenue, which is the major one that has to do with oil, in the aspect of oil theft and reduction in the production, we discovered that we've had challenges with our revenue. Taxation has been a major focus of sustaining governance in the last few years. I'm sure you know that FIRS was able to give over 10 trillion in the last fiscal year of 2022. So taxation has been a bedrock for every economy to grow. And there are two sides to it. There is one on the part of we the citizen paying up the tax, and the other aspect of government fulfilling the social contract which is expected of them. And if you look at some of the assignments given to this committee, is to look at how they can have that revenue come into government's cover, and also look for ways to make sure that the citizen benefit from it. And I will say that the president has been able to pick the round peg in round hole, considering Taiwo Oyedele pedigree and his position to some of the things that's actually been going on. So if you look at this policy, what are some of the things that is expected of them? You made mention of them in your intro in terms of revenue generation for the company, for the country. And the things that I know before now has been major agitation of some of us to the government is unification of the revenue authority. I'm sure you know towards the end of last administration, there was a proposition where they were expecting the FIRS, NEMSA, and the custom to be consolidated to be a revenue authority where those other one would be sub under the reporting to one. We've been an advocate, and I know Taiwo also championed this with some of us who are analysts, and is to actually avoid the area of leakages and multiplicity of taxes. This morning I was reading through a particular thing that's happening in the port, and you ask yourself, the taxes and the levies that are actually coming in that is affecting the deliverable in terms of people having access to even to Uber's link. We are not talking of new ones now. By the hike in the cost of levy that we have at the port, these are some of the things that this committee is saddled with. And I know that for Taiwo Udele has been a champion of harmonizing our revenue and also, avoiding this multiplicity of taxes. One of it is what you give credit to FRS did, I think late last month with Mantan, where they are able to now have access to the informal sector. If you're able to streamline this, all these side collection from the local government, from this, you have a unified way of collecting these taxes, that will give confidence to the taxpayer to know, okay, these are the number of taxes or levy I'm expected to pay. Once I pay it is the government that will now share the one that will go to the local government, the one that. So these are the things that are before this committee, of which I know definitely their chairman has been an advocate of harmonizing this. And if he's able to bring this to bear, I can tell you that just like we had in developed clients, taxation, people will get value for it, because when you pay your taxes, there are certain social contracts expected of the government, of which they are deficient in doing currently, that must be brought to bear for us to have the dividend of paying taxes.
Right. But I just want you to further, expatiate on this, to let us know how does this affect perhaps the person who wants to buy a car from, say, UK or Tokumbo Cars, or wants to import an electronic vehicle, or even want to maybe a petty trader who sells those goods that are not exempt from taxation. How does this benefit them? What should they be concerned about relating to this new group that has been constituted by the president?
The benefit is enormous if they are able to carry out, to implement some of the suggestions that they will bring. Like I said in my intro, you see, if you are able to consolidate your revenue, somebody that is paying certain taxes and still going to cost of to pay certain levy, you can harmonize it and say, okay, if you are a regular taxpayer, these are certain concessions we'll give to you if you are importing certain things to the government, because you now have a channel who is addressing every of that, not individual agency competing to see how they outshine others and imposing taxes on an average individual. You see, the one we have before now, that FRS had to go into the informal sector, you discover that several people were actually cashing out on some of these individuals because they did not have the proper understanding of the taxes and the levies to go to the federal or the state or the local government. So you discover that there are double taxation on the part of some of the commodities that they are doing. But if you are able to have a tax reform that spells out some of the things that are to be paid as we are currently, but you are able to consolidate it in such a way that a market woman on the road knows that he needs to just pay maybe one or two taxes that go to the central post, and how they share it between the state and the local government is not a prerogative again.
Right.
It will give sanity and bring transparency,
right,
relieving the burden on an average citizen that is carrying out businesses in Nigeria.
All right. One of the mandates given this committee on fiscal reforms, rather fiscal policy and tax reforms, is to transform the tax system to support sustainable development and achieve a minimum of 18% tax to GDP ratio within the next 3 years without stifling investment or economic growth. I know you already have mentioned some of those things that needs to be done, harmonize taxes and the rest. But do you think it is a goal that can be achieved? A minimum of 18% tax to GDP ratio?
Yeah, it's achievable if we have the political will on the part of the government. Because you see, it's not enough to ask people to pay taxes. You get more confidence of the citizens to do that willingly if the government is fulfilling their own side of it. For certain set of people, they will tell you that they are government on their own because they have to pay, build the roads themselves. They have to provide electricity themselves. They have to provide health infrastructure themselves and do certain things. And these are basic social contracts expected of the government to provide to the citizens because they are paying their taxes. So if the committee is able to come out with a reform that will balance the act of people getting dividend of the taxes that they are paying. I will take you back to one of the state internal revenue, which were Lagos State during Fashola's regime. I'm sure you know the self-assessment gave a wide range because people were actually seeing the dividend, seeing the reward, seeing some of the gain of the taxes they were paying in the infrastructure development that was grooming, the business environment in Lagos. If same can be replicated on the part of the federal government, you discover that it's not just collecting the taxes alone, but being able to fulfill that part that is expected of you. That will now bring more people into the tax net. And if you're able to unify it, like I said at the beginning, knowing well that you know that you are to do like 3-4 taxes a year, and maybe you have specific periods that those taxes are to be, disbursed to the government, you will work towards it. Pay it and know that no other person comes to disturb you. Not that you are taking care of some at the beginning of the first quarter, second quarter, some certain set of people are coming, which is impacting negatively on the bottom line of every organization.
Right.
So I can tell you for free that it's achievable, but it's not just in the area of we collecting or you exerting more power on the few people that are paying, but widen the tax net and let people have confidence and that transparency that is expected of you as the government by fulfilling the social contract that is expected of you.
Alrighty then, we've been speaking with Olusesan Okunade, economic and financial analyst as well as chartered accountant on the program as we got this newly established committee on fiscal presidential committee now on fiscal policy and tax reforms that was mentioned or made public last week, and we hope that things definitely get better. We see new reforms, fiscal reforms, and indeed some new direction as we get tax. It's interesting to note as we close that Taiwo Oyedele, just few days before his appointment, vented his disagreement with the federal government on the policy that on the introduction of the new proof of ownership directive, which requires private and commercial motorists to pay 1,000 naira yearly starting from this month. And he did criticize that in his over Instagram where he addressed that policy as retrogressive and illogical, but that's where we leave things. I just thought to mention that. It's interesting.
KSD, I just want to say, sorry to interject you, but I'm not envying my brother Taiwo for now, because it's now high time to exhibit some of those things. You criticize and you are now on their government. Right. We have only been encouraging him that some of those things, now that you're on that hot seat, be able to bring to bear, because there are things that will transfer our economy, sincerely speaking. Saying that he is really a successful person in the private sector as the head of the fiscal policy and tax department for PwC, one of the big four in Africa. He's a West African leader, and he's been doing wonderfully well in terms of policy. But one thing we must know, that as citizens, we should be prepared. You see, when there is a reform like this, it may come in a very slight, tactical, hard manner. Just like the way that our president said, subsidy is gone. It created a lot of hardship. When we started seeing, some of the pathways that will actually see some of those things being shut down as a country, and we'll be able to move. So people should just brace up. And I want to believe in the next 6 months, we start seeing some of the dividends that this administration actually meant for the citizen, and we all be happy for it.
Thank you so much again, Chartered Accountant, Economic and Financial Analyst Olusesan Okunade. Have a fantastic Monday.
Thank you very much for having me, KSV, and the best of the day, Felix, and to all our
right.
That is that with that. Now time for social buzz. Let's look at the trend on social media and talk about that.
It's super social on the social buzz. The social buzz on the Low FM Morning Show.